So
You
we're
just
back.
let me know.
We're back live again. Um, Sorry guys for the technical difficulties. For some odd reason, the audio wasn't going, and then all of a sudden the camera stopped working. We'll have that fixed for next week, as it is a very nice look. I'm gonna let Adam go ahead and talk while we get this knocked out.
Welcome, guys, to week 2 of the NASRA 360 podcast. It's January 10th. We're now 10 days into 2023, and we've had a lot of racing action happen over the last week, and a lot of stuff has happened over the last week. But before we get too much into the racing action, I'll go ahead and introduce producer here, Cody Knott, fellow announcer Stephen Thomas. Guys, how y'all feel like the week's going for y'all?
Really fast.
Yeah, it has been
Really
fast.
fast, man.
Yeah, there's been a
Oh
lot
yeah,
going on.
Friday and everything's already come and gone. The Monday series come and gone. Now we're on
Yeah,
Tuesdays. I
yeah.
unfortunately I apologize for the overlay issue, guys. Like I said, it'll be fixed for next week. I had it set up through the week, but never tested it with them. So unfortunately, it did not work out. But
That's all right.
we fixed the audio issue. Now I'll just have to fix the cam issue for next week.
Yeah, we'll get it all fixed next week. Let's jump into a little sports news. How about one of the first big things in racing? The Cars Tour has announced it's under new ownership. Dale
I saw
Jr.,
that.
Kevin Harvick, Justin Marks, and Jeff Burton have all gone in to purchase the Cars Tour
I
late
saw
model
that.
series.
So I will say, unfortunately, I believe the Cars is more of like an East Coast type thing. We don't really have those over here. We have I think it's called Spears, which is pretty a similar program, but it's like it's basically like the super late models, but it's known as Spears over here on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's funny because I remember I was watching the Dale Jr. podcast, Dale Jr. Download, and I was listening to that probably about a month or so ago. I don't know if they picked back up over the holidays yet or not doing that, but I remember Dale and Mike on there talking that there was some big news coming with that Cars tour here pretty soon, and
Yeah,
sure enough, it came out. So that's pretty cool. I
Yeah,
think
I'm
that's
reading about all of it right now. I didn't really know much about this
yeah, I think it's pretty
until you
cool.
brought it up today.
Those guys, Dale Jr. cares a lot about. I mean, I guess all of these guys, but Dale Jr. especially talks very openly about how much he cares about small short track local racing,
so making him look like
reviving
Doctor Evil.
yeah, reviving local tracks like that and everything.
So Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick, and Justin Marks
Yeah,
are
Justin
all the
Marks.
guys.
If I'm not mistaken, he's more of like a dirt track racer. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, he's the owner of Trackhouse,
Ah,
but he did get in. He's the owner of Trackhouse. He did get into NASCAR, ran it a little bit, but that's mainly been where his focus has been.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. I bet that's a lot of fun to watch. It's pretty local.
But it
Be a
is. Well,
bad
yeah,
thing.
like I was
Well, for
stating, it's
me
more of an
anyway.
East
I'm not
Coast
sure
thing.
about you guys. Pretty local for me.
Yeah, I mean they ran that's the series that ran at North Wilkesboro when Dale Jr. ran the Sun Drop car and everything.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. That's a good series. See other news. Let's go. I have not looked up enough about the NFL playoffs, so maybe y'all know. Have they started? Are they
They
starting this
start
week?
this Saturday. I believe the first game is the 49ers versus the Seahawks, and I am a 49ers fan, so hopefully that game goes well. But we shouldn't have. I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not going to say we shouldn't have any issues because that's bad luck on them. But they are undefeated in that division. They're playing a division opponent who is seventh seed, so we'll see how that goes out.
Jaguars making the wild card game,
Yeah,
guys. What about that?
Trevor Lawrence
Yeah,
looking pretty
Trevor Lawrence
impressive.
gets his first shot at the playoffs. I like it.
us Georgia
It's only his
fans used to
second
call him
season, man.
Sunshine. Yeah, us
Only his
Georgia fans
second
used to call him
season.
Sunshine.
Where'd he go? He went to Centennial, right?
Clemson.
No, 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 no. High school wise, I think it's Centennial.
I
Oh,
have
Um,
no
here in
idea.
Georgia.
is it there in Georgia?
Yeah,
Did he?
he went to high school here in Georgia.
Let me see. I was like, I'm not 100% sure, but I thought it was like along the lines of the word Centennial or something.
So yeah, that's your Saturday games. You have 49ers, Seahawks, and then Jaguars, Chargers, and then Sunday you kick off with the Bills and Dolphins. Is going to be a good game. Dolphins can definitely upset the Bills.
You
Is
think
Can
Tua
so?
healthy? Tua's
can,
not
but
healthy, is he?
no, he's not healthy.
No.
It's been
That's horrible,
not
man.
even Jacoby Brissett's playing. It's
I take
like a third string.
Yeah, but I think not Jacoby. You mean what's his name? He played for the Saints. Bridgewater.
No, I was Jacoby Brissett was Tua Tagovailoa's. Oh no, that was never
Bridgewater.
mind. Brissett was Brown's.
Yeah.
Man.
So, yeah, Bridgewater. But I think he's healthy now. I think they were talking about last weekend him being healthy. They just didn't want to play him because of the playoffs next week. I think they'll have Bridgewater going into this
So
game.
he cleared concussion protocol then.
I believe that's what I was listening to. It was in the background when I was watching Sunday, but I believe he's healthy. You'd have to look that up. Then you got Vikings and Giants.
Yeah.
Not much to watch there.
But the
Bengals Ravens
Giants
will be a good
Giants
one.
have beaten the Vikings though already.
Can the Cowboys show up in the playoffs this year, or is it just
Ha!
I've been making fun of so many Cowboys fans and saying that they're making fun of the 49ers. I'm like, well, at least they don't lose in the first round.
well, they got a hard first round matchup. They got the GOAT, son, the GOAT.
I think if Mike Evans is healthy, he's been struggling with an illness this past week. He only played one snap in this last week's game and then was out. If Mike Evans is healthy and him and Tom Brady are hitting their marks, then they should be pretty set for a hard game.
Well, that
So
ought to be fun.
the Chiefs and
Playoffs.
Eagles are both the number one seeds in AFC and NFC. So
Mhm. They
are
got the
the
bye.
are the Chiefs going to go to another Super Bowl?
Hope not.
They definitely can. I mean, they've got the quarterback to do it with.
I hope not.
Seems like the Giants must have come out of nowhere because it seemed like just last year or the year before last they were just terrible.
Mhm.
And I have not paid enough attention to them, but it just doesn't seem like the Giants. I would have never thought they'd have made the playoffs again, but I see they went 9-7 and have one tie, so that's pretty surprising.
That's pretty cool. Nothing wrong with that. I like to see the Giants in there. Saquon Barkley, I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh well, that's actually if Saquon's healthy. He didn't play the last 2 weeks.
Has he not? Man.
Yeah, he did not play the last 2 weeks, and this past week would have been a crucial one. So he clearly isn't healthy enough because that would have decided a little bit more of their seeding. And I don't think they won this past week, but it would have if they would have won, they would have for sure locked in. But they had to have the I think it was the Cowboys lose, which they did to Washington. Was the only way that they were locking in.
Huh.
So Keith Bradley says that Teddy Bridgewater will probably start. Tua has not cleared yet for the Dolphins. He says Tom Brady, I believe he's talking about Tom Brady, is washed up, and Dak Prescott can't win the big game. So
Washed up. You know how many times and how many years we have heard that
I'm,
same comment? When
you
are
know
people
what? I don't
going to
care,
just
Keith Bradley.
understand
I
who the
don't
guy
care if
is?
you said that or not. I will. You can never bet against Tom Brady.
Heck no.
I mean,
That has
I'm
been
an
Uh,
Atlanta. I'm an
3 years
Atlanta
going
Falcons
now, man.
fan, and
Do
he
me a
humbled
favor
us
real
pretty
fast,
bad.
Adam.
Okay.
Give Brady access.
Okay. Are we moving him in here?
Yeah, he's trying to figure out where to go, but we're in a locked channel. He's in the race day channel.
I've got you. One
We
second.
introduction to our league owner, the man, the myth, the legend,
The
the
Tom
old
Brady.
guy, the old guy. Man, he's just like Tom Brady. He's got
Old
all
guy.
the Brady and Tom Brady. They got the
If you
same
want to talk
introduction.
about washed up people, we just had one come in here right here.
Woo-hoo, wow.
With the glorious background. Yeah. So Brady, we had some technical difficulties, so all of a sudden the camera stopped working once we got the audio to work, and then so we just like, all right, we'll scrap it for another week, test it ahead of time, and here we are.
So this is Brady LaBeouf. Brady is the co-founder, currently the CEO, president, head MF are in charge at NASRA. We cannot hear you, Brady.
I don't think he said anything yet.
His mouth moved.
His mouth moved.
I couldn't tell. Generally, his mouth opens really wide.
Yeah, it does.
Whoa.
I see that smirk, Brady.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, there we. Well, thank y'all for having me on tonight.
You doing?
Yeah. Nice to see you, buddy.
I see
Oh,
you.
I'm doing good.
He had me.
So,
He had me test his background earlier. Does this
uh,
work?
It looks good. It
see,
looks good.
Cody wouldn't let me use the Sick With It Motorsports background.
I didn't say that.
He said I had to take it off.
Oh yeah.
All
You
right,
have
so
to take
Brady,
off the Georgia hat.
we know you're the the head man at NASRA. You've built a pretty great series, pretty great league. You got several different series going on, but we want to hear about all of NASRA. Like, explain to us and bring us through first how NASRA came along and where it started, how it started.
Well, first, man, this goes way back. We're about to go back in the day. It seems like forever, and it seems like yesterday sometimes because I was thinking about it today. Whenever you put the talking points in the chat, but it all started. I got into iRacing, and I came across this Facebook post that said join this money league, and they were looking for drivers and whatnot, and so I joined it. I'm not going to say the name of it, but I joined it, and I met some great people in the league, especially Michael McKinnon and his son Austin, and I believe we ran about 3, 4 races, and we started to kind of chat a little bit more, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm running with my son, but we'll start McKinnon Motorsports, and if you want to come race with us, come join the team." So I did, and that's kind of where Michael and I's relationship started, just racing week to week on the same team. Man, we used to practice 3, 4 times a week, to be honest with you. It was a lot of fun when we had time to do it. I know he enjoyed it, Austin enjoyed it, and we made each other better. Now we weren't always the best, or never really showed much speed compared to other people, but we enjoyed it. And I think that was the best thing that could ever happen to me personally, was just to find somebody that enjoyed the same things and quality of life as I did. And that league kind of fell apart, and Michael had this idea of, hey, we can do this. And so we kind of started 2 series in one kind of deal. He did the trucks, I did the cup, and then we always had the group that came over from that Orca series that was at the other league that kind of stuck together, and we all became friends over the time. Guys like Chris Cinnamon, Keith Bradley, Cody Knott, and we were able to kind of, well, no, Cody came in after. I'm sorry, but it was Keith Bradley, Chris Cinnamon, Tyler Dittmer is who I was thinking about. And there was a couple others like Max Stack. He came run the first season with us at NASRA, but he was previously in that league that Michael had for a short period of time. And then we just kind of kept the same guys. I recruited a lot of y'all. I know I recruited Steven. I recruited Cody from season 1, Taylor Peacock. I kind of helped Michael do a lot of the work. And so we were both kind of 50-50 in it, invested into it. So it just kind of, the group kind of stuck together, and we ran, I want to say 3 seasons, and we decided to expand, and now we have a Xfinity series on Thursday night, another truck series on Monday. We're trying to get a cup series started on Sunday nights. We got some plans for Tuesday and Wednesday, so the goal is, it's always been to run 7 nights a week and just build it into its own little community within iRacing. And now we got the broadcast group going. We're getting the podcast group going. We got websites, social media platforms. So, man, it's been a long journey, but it's finally starting to kind of pay off of what we've always dreamed it to be.
Yeah, that's pretty dang cool. So what? Okay, so you said you and Michael met. you, Michael, and Austin. So I do remember the three of y'all being, kind of the founders. This is a lot of stuff. You just told me a lot of stuff I really didn't know about, and I don't think a lot of people in the league really know about. But what year, what time frame was that? What year was that?
Well, it was actually pre-COVID. So it would have been 2019 when Michael and I met, and it would have been in the early springtime, like March, Aprilish. And that league that we were in together, I still have the McKinnon Motorsports logo on my computer. Um, so I know Michael, if he's watching, he would appreciate that. He's probably laughing right now. But that league carried it all the way into the summertime. And then the summer, I would say around August is when we started the first season of NASRA. We kind of things kind of fell apart in the other league around I want to say end of July, beginning of August. So that timeline would be correct, about a 15-week season from August, September into December.
So fall of 2019, close to the end of the summer of 2019, Naz was born.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. And then y'all had your first season. And Taylor Peacock, if you look at past winners, was the first winner.
Yeah, Taylor. Yeah, Taylor won the first race at Daytona. I can't remember who won the first race in the Cup Series, which would have been running on the Tuesday nights.
There's just some good guys in that Cup League. The first season y'all ran that.
Oh yeah, but if I had to put my money on it, I remember I finished fourth
Gabriel
or fifth.
Ellison?
I ran top 5. No, it would have been it was either Rhett or Nick Sacco. It was one of those
Rhett
two
run
guys
Cup
that won.
season as well.
Yeah, Rhett ran Cup.
Tony, I don't remember Tony Smith. He was our first, I guess, official winner as far as not being a super speedway. I don't remember that name, but obviously Rhett and Jason were just dominant the season 1 of NASRA. They went back and forth the whole season.
Yeah, Rhett Tucker and Jason Hickenbottom, which is actually your dad, Steven.
Yeah, Jason Higginbotham was my dad, yeah.
And then Jacob Higginbotham ended up being the first season champion. So y'all kind of get
fun.
Yeah, y'all kind of
really
get to
cool.
the first
I met
season.
Brady and Michael at the same time in a recruitment race, in a hosted recruitment race. I think me and Dad showed up to that race, and I guess we did well and got the invite to NASRA. It was pretty cool, man. I was glad. It was just a perfect time to show up. I had just got the PC and iRacing about a month before all that, and was like just getting on the iRacing. And Brady and Michael found me. It was awesome just to kind of step right into NASRA, which has grown to what it is now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Cody, you came in. I think I remember you telling me you came in towards the end, and ran part time in season 1, right?
I mean, as soon as I came in, I ran the rest of the entire season, but I think I don't remember the time frame, but I do remember I was heading to the coast, and I had put out onto Facebook that I was looking for a league, and like I'm talking, I had just barely got all my iRacing stuff, and I used to race in real life as like a kind of a backstory, so it wasn't like new to racing, but as my parents they got divorced, it separated me from racing, and I had missed that connection. And then I've always wanted to find a way to do it, and then I heard about iRacing one time, and then it just took off from there, and bought like computer. Uh, I started out on the G29, and then now I'm on the Fanatec, and I had reached onto Facebook and said that I was looking for a league, and then Brady had like messaged me, and then that same night added me to the Facebook group, and it was just down here from there. I want to say it was like already maybe 8-9 weeks into the season.
Brady does. I see Brady. You do that a lot. You're like constantly on Facebook on those league pages. People looking for leagues, and you're constantly like putting stuff in. I see it all the time because I'm in all those pages.
Yeah. Well,
Brady,
I always make a list of things to do. I get with the board, and the number one thing that is always on that list is recruitment. You can't stop recruiting. I don't care. I've had some, like Cody said, he came in week 9, but he's still here. He hasn't left. Jose Rivera. He came in like I want to say week 5 of a season. So it's just getting those people within the group to buy into it, and the outsiders coming in to, and I call them outsiders just because they didn't pay the champ fund or whatnot beginning of the season, but to come in and just run and just get a feel for each group and whatnot, and then they run the next season and whatnot. So it's been awesome. But real quick, back to some history. That's how I met Robbie Richards. Was the first season of Cup. He was running by himself, and I even offered for him to join Mission One Esports, and he told me no at first because he had his own little cute team name that he wanted to run. But we ran an alliance together, and then the following season, Robbie joined me. But Robbie has been one of my best friends on the iRacing server, just because we kind of started the whole NASRA series, that season 1 together in Cup, and it's carried over into the truck seasons on Monday night and Friday night. So yeah, Robbie's one of my good buddies.
What was his cute team name? Do you
And I want
remember?
to know that.
Man, I'd have to go back. Oh, he would have to tell you, but it was
The
I
Clemson
can't.
Motorsports.
Oh,
No,
no.
Nah, it's
he
probably
was
brute force. Same that he
no, it
has
wasn't.
now.
It wasn't brute force. It was something I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
It's crazy.
That's
That's
funny.
that's pretty cool. So obviously you get through the kind of the first season of NASRA, and then you went to Jason Higginbotham win season 1, and then you go to season 2. So how much does the league grow from season 1 to season 2 towards the end of it?
Well, season 2 was kind of a hiccup moment for us. We um we
Cup
kind of
Series
brought
stopped,
so,
didn't it?
yeah, the Cup Series ran for about 5 to 6 weeks, and then it kind of went downhill from there. They had a lot of fast guys in there, and it slowly deteriorated, and it just kind of went through. And so we kind of, and at that time, Clinton Sneed was helping us a lot. Him with SimRacerHub.com. So we had a lot of
That's
thoughts
right. What was that?
and
Sneed. What was it called?
Competition
Sneed.
designs.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sneed Competition Design. That's
And
right.
so we had a lot of ideas, and we thought, if we could branch out, we brought Taylor on with his Super Speedway series. Sneed had an Xfinity series. Michael took care of the trucks, and we had midgets. Keith Bradley, Cody Knott was helping out with the midget series. So we just had a lot of things going on, but we wasn't, to be honest with you, and this is not a shot at anybody whatsoever. I think this season, like the season 2 is what I'm referring to, helped us realize what it really took to have a premiere season on a weekly night. So there was a lot of ups and downs that season, I would say. The Xfinity, I think they averaged maybe 15 people a race. Super Speedway had some good numbers until the end, because people in playoffs and whatnot, they drop out. But the only series that really, really kind of, it averaged 38 people, I believe, that season, was the Truck Series on Friday night. Um, so we kind of all broke apart. We all went our different ways, which is nobody's fault or whatnot. But it kind of set the tone for season 3, which we actually took. I don't know if you guys remember going from season 2 to 3. We took 2 months off. It was almost like 8 to 10 weeks. And that's where Michael made a development series. And that's where we found guys like Adam Newbert, off the top of my head. I think Dana Shepard was one of those guys. Clint Mata was another one that we found through that summer period where Michael kind of took a break. And then it was at that point, which was critical for NASRA, where I went to Michael and I said, "Hey, like, what is your plan?" And Michael was busy at the time. He was running his tractor. He was racing in real life tractors, and he just wanted to enjoy life. And he just really didn't have time to run a series anymore. So I made a deal with him that I would take over and run season 3. And if he wanted to take it back over for season 4, I would hand it back over to him. Well, he basically just handed me the keys to the league, and ever since then, I kind of ran with it with ideas and help of people like you all, that serve on the board of directors. So That's kind of been the continuation to the season 6 where we're at now. You see a lot of familiar faces since then. But season 3 was the turning point of NASRA.
Yeah, so let's back up a little bit. This season 2 champion was Bradley Wilson, who, when you look at kind of the past race winners, he just kind of came out of nowhere at the end of that season.
Yeah, I was about to say when
That
he
was an
said that
insane season.
he averaged 38 drivers at least, and I remember that we averaged very well because Jason and Rhett was gone, which excited a lot of people. And if you look, 15 races total, there was 13 different winners that season.
I think it was
Brand
more than
like
that. I think it was literally just the championship race where there was a repeat winner.
that. Well, Bradley won week 12,
He's
14,
right, yeah.
and 15. So there was a total of 13, and Bradley came on strong during the playoffs. That's insane. I remember that happening too, and I was like,
We
"Who
also
is
had a
this guy?
huge
Why
controversy in that
is he
season.
doing
I mean, yeah, he was the only two-time winner, let alone three-time winner in
I
that
can't
season.
believe I didn't win one race that season. That makes me mad. It really does. Because I remember I was excited about Jason and Rhett
You
being
didn't get
gone, and I was like, "All right, let's go get a win here," and I didn't get one.
you didn't get your first one until season 3.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's
and that's when they he said at the turning point we went up to 14 races in the regular season and a 20 total instead of 15.
This
yeah.
season's 22.
So I remember the development league Brady was talking about. I never realized that Friday night took a 2 months off there, but I do remember the development league, and I didn't really race a whole lot in it. And then I signed up for Friday nights, and honestly, this was season 3 when I came into the league. When I signed up for Friday nights, I ran. I was one of those guys that ran official races and thought I was good because I could go win official races. And then I joined up in NASRA and ran a few races, and I was like, I suck. So I lost interest. And Brady messages me one day, and I lied to Brady, and he probably don't know that, but he messaged me one day. He's like, "Hey, you good? Just checking on you, see if you're gonna run with us anymore." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I just been busy at work." You know, that's all I told him. But then eventually, I came back and ran, and I've been stuck with y'all ever since I came back and ran with y'all. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, and another name from that series that y'all probably don't even remember, but Tim Hammond. Tim Hammond was in that developmental series, and
Was he
now he
really?
runs on. Oh yes, and now he runs on Monday nights, and he's doing great. I'm actually proud of him. The growth that I've seen from him, and he's running with a great team with Sean Hamilton and Tyler Thurman. And I can't think of the fourth guy. It'll
It's
probably come to
Nathan
my
Smith.
mind, but there you go, Nathan Smith.
Yep.
But yeah, a good
Brandon
group,
Cass.
but yeah, nevertheless, and to Adam's point, me messaging people, I wish I could, today, well, these days I find myself with more emails or messages than anything, but uh, it was a lot easier to reach out to people when you only had one or two series going on, and I found time to, if somebody took 2 weeks off, I would reach out to them and say, "Hey, man, is everything good? Like, what's the deal?" Because the best thing you can do, not to uh, sound arrogant or whatnot, but leading a series, but the best thing you can do is reach out and get feedback from drivers who race in your series. I've had a lot of great feedback from people that have told me good things and bad things.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Something I just realized looking at the past winners again, and I want to bring up, hopefully we can talk about this. It's been a while, but the Pocono race stood out to me because of the name, and I thought, no way, that was he won before me, and I remembered that situation at that point. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I have
The
no problem.
Yeah, the Brandon Bullock at Pocono. Uh, he
Yeah, that was the
dominated the whole race, and then we had some questions about it, and he couldn't prove
Huh.
otherwise.
yeah. I'm probably gonna mess up his name, but Dan Gallant,
Gallant.
Gallant. Yeah. Not to throw him under the bus, but there was a situation where
Is
There
that
was a
who was
guy.
behind the wheel? Is that what you're saying, or? Because
Well,
I
that's
never.
remains to be unseen. But there was a situation, and I wasn't running. I was running part time with you guys season 2, so I think I raced maybe 4 or 5 races that season. And remember, we're running 22, 25 week seasons now. Back then, we only ran 15 weeks. It was 10 regular season races, and then it was a
I
five
forgot
week
all about
playoff.
that.
So, oh yeah, so we used to run some short seasons, and Dan averaged, I want to say, a 15th place position,
Middle of the pack,
and
yeah.
oh yeah, he was middle, 15th, 20th, always running there. Just seemed like, and I think he had maybe one or two top tens at the most at that point.
Okay,
Uh,
so yeah,
so
I see. I was confused for a second.
so
So
yeah,
that was the
and then he
one.
kind of he showed up for Pocono and blew everybody out the water by 3 seconds, and
Okay,
everybody kind of was
It
like,
was more than that. It was four
uh,
seconds.
the
yeah,
whole
it was,
race.
yeah,
Won
he
both
like,
stages.
yeah, he just dominated, and everybody kind of questioned it, and Michael had went in the chat and was like, okay, well look, let's set up a practice session and let's see if you can mimic. We know track temp means something. We know air temp. The weather plays a part, but we'll do our best to mimic the session, and we'll run a couple of laps to see if you could do the same thing. And he got mad and left and didn't like that too much. And it's kind of like, man, at the end of the day, if you can show up and do that, you should be able to do it again. Uh, but he never did. He never showed up, and he left, and that was the end of Dan with NASRA.
Okay, see, I got confused. I was
I'll
blaming it
fill
on
in.
Brandon for a second.
I'll fill
So
in a
Brandon
little bit
finished
of
an
stuff.
official. Sorry, Brandon finished an official second that race.
Yes.
Brandon
That's
was a
impressive.
second,
That's
but
impressive. Good
he
job, Brandon.
but he was declared the winner because it could never be
Yeah,
determined if he was behind the wheel or not. So
that's a
I
big
know there
run
was
by
a lot of
Brandon.
people that put an asterisk next to his name, but in my opinion, in my eyes, Brandon will always be the winner of that Pocono race. And what was even better about it, from
What
Brandon's
am
point of view, is he was outside looking in. So he raced his way into the Final Four that year.
Championship 4 season 2? Yeah,
Dang, that's pretty cool right there.
yeah, it was.
Brady, do you remember all the details from that event? Do you want me to fill in the details for it, or you want just to let it be?
I would just let it be. I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't. It's good enough. It's past us.
I would love to
We've
know
never
the
had that
details.
situation again, but yeah, that's
So
enough about.
just to your effect on the culture of NASRA, just to back up what you said earlier, Justin Lumpkin comments in the live chat and says, I wouldn't have come back season 4 if it wasn't Brady asking me as well. Said he hate missing season 2 and season 3, but he's glad to be back around. So
Yeah, I felt bad for Justin. I appreciate him saying that, and I'm a Justin Lumpkin fan.
yeah,
Not to be biased towards anybody in the league, I enjoy everybody. I've met some great people, especially Steven. I know we've had conversations, and they wasn't always the best ones, but I feel like that's brought me and Steven a lot closer and built our relationship up to the friendship we have today.
True.
And I really wouldn't change anything about it, to be honest with you, because I'm a Stephen Thomas fan. But Justin, I kind of did him. I wouldn't say I did him wrong, but Justin, Tony Smith, and there was another guy, Casey something maybe. He drove the number 9 truck before me,
Oh
and
yeah.
they were all teammates, and we were kind of expanding, and I was trying to come up with solutions, and the plan that I had is maybe we could separate the guys from the trucks, because you got to remember this was the first time we were doing this, so we were kind of green at the time. So we kind of wanted to move guys around and say, hey, you run Xfinity, you run Cup, and try to build around those guys for those series. But at the same time, well, I asked Justin to bring his team to Xfinity, and they ran it. They were committed, uh, and he did that for me. But it kind of fell apart, and he really didn't have a spot or a place in the Truck Series. But I thought about Justin, and I was like, man, you got to come back. Come back to NASRA. All the guys miss you. Come back and run. So he came back and ran with us, and hasn't left since. And uh, I won't even let him quit the league.
yeah.
He's in it forever until we're 82 years old and we can't even drive no more. So
Casey
Well, that's
Herring.
what I'm kind of. That's what
Yep.
I'm sitting here thinking,
I'm a
going
little
over
I'm a
all the
little
past is
I'm a
what this
little
is going to
biased
get to.
too. Yeah, I guess I'm a little biased. I'm a Justin Lumpkin fan too.
Yeah, Justin said Casey Herring.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
that's
that
right.
guy.
And I'll tell you like this: if I didn't respect Jeff Sickles like I do, and I wasn't considered Jeff as a friend like I do, and I mean you gotta realize like a lot of these friendships weren't developed in one season. A lot of these are over a year and a half, 18 months. But if I didn't care about Jeff, Justin Lumpkin would be racing for M1 Esports. I'll tell you that right now. And
Ooh.
Adam, you wouldn't be able to steal him from me.
Ooh, that's tough. That's tough.
Look at the
So
serious face on. Gosh. Wish I could
that's
just
just
reach you right now.
that's just disappointing. I'm not gonna lie to you. So anyway, we'll move on from that. So
Messing with my
season
teammates
two,
right now.
yeah,
Well, wait,
season.
I gotta tell y'all a backstory on something. I'm sorry,
Okay,
Adam. I'm not trying to cut you off, but it just made me think of something, and I gotta put it out there. So I'm sorry, but and I know I'm not trying to throw Jeff under the bus right now, but do y'all know who built Swim? Who helped build Swim?
Was
no.
it you?
I did. I told Jeff,
Oh
I said,
yeah, I remember this.
you need to grab Adam Newbert, Justin Lumpkin, and I forgot who else, but it was four guys.
Like
I can't. Blake. Well, no, Blake and him were
Blake,
always together.
yeah, Blake.
It
That's
wasn't
right.
Blake, but it might have just been you two guys. I said, Jeff, I said, if you need to build a team, I said, you, Blake, and you need to go get Adam and Justin. And he was like, I'll reach out to him. And you guys have been together ever since. And you guys are one of the premier teams in any series that you run with us. So I got to take a little bit of credit for that. I'm sorry, Jeff.
In all
Ah,
honesty, though, there for a minute, you probably helped build a few teams.
yeah.
The way you
Yeah.
were working the
I'll have to
play
agree
there.
with that because I remember I raced Limitless Esports in season three, and then that was just I never knew what was going on there. I always felt like that was a joke. But then after season three, it was like,
Limitless.
yeah, it's like after that, after season three, it was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna be whatever. Who cares? I didn't have a whole lot of relationships into that point. And then Jeff messages me, and he asked me if I wanted to join the team, and I was like, well, yeah, heck yeah.
Speaking of season 3, we probably need to move on to talking about that if you have anything on season 3 that
Yeah,
you
so
wanted
Oh,
to discuss.
season three was my favorite.
yeah, that's the thing I
Yeah,
was
I
about
bet
to
it
bring
was.
up. It seems from season two to season three, there's a huge growth in NASRA. Where you go from a 15
Hold on, we
race
can
to a
just go
20
ahead and
race.
skip this if you want to be honest. We can go season 4. That was a good one too.
Season three goes from a 15 race to a 20 race schedule. It brings in the first clash, so you start that up. Brady, you won that championship. That's why Steven doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I beat Steven. I still watched that video today. That
I've never
Look,
went
I
back and
tell you
watched. I
like
don't think
this:
I've watched it at all. I don't think I've
racecraft, racecraft with their quality of TV. I almost feel like I was at that race whenever I rewatch.
Season 3 Racecraft, I was really upset when we left. I ain't gonna lie, like I was pissed when we left Racecraft the first time.
It felt like the league
Or
got more
or
exposure under
that time.
Racecraft that season because I remember going back and watching some races because
I
I didn't race
understood
with
why
y'all
you
before
did it
then.
or why it happened, but I missed Racecraft. Those guys were pretty funny.
Well, I mean, to be honest to you, be honest with you, the whole reason why we left Racecraft and went to LSR TV is LSR TV was begging us. They wanted us really bad. Was one point, and the second point was is Racecraft had some guys that were doing real life broadcasting, so
Yeah.
they wasn't going to have enough time for us. They were traveling on Fridays, sleeping in hotels and doing racing in real life Saturday and Sunday. So it wasn't really a breakup. It was just
Didn't fit
time
at the
apart.
time. Yeah, but that was a good one. I don't think I've ever went back and watched. I've went back and watched that Richmond race quite a few times. But
It seemed like
the
the quality of the broadcast from season two and season one really changed on season three.
Yeah,
Like they
it
got
did.
better.
It did. It was really good. And look, we enjoyed our time at LSR TV, but it was great to be back at Racecraft TV for season 5. So
Yeah, for
Season
sure, for sure. That
season
was
three. That's the
speaking of
season.
Robbie Richards a minute ago. Robbie went off the early part of that season. Him and Kyle Hess went back and forth the first 4 or well, yeah, first 4 races.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that
I
was
remember being like, where did Robbie come from? And then he just kind of fell off and did not so good the rest of that season.
actually the season where I wasn't sure if Steven and I was gonna be friends after, if we were gonna drive halfway and brawl each other in a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah, especially
We
about week
had
4 and 5, we were at each
yeah,
other's throats.
and then finally we got through it. And to be honest with you, I didn't even expect to be in the Final Four that year because I wasn't as committed as I usually am because from an owner standpoint, I was doing a lot of work with the league. I used to do the points and everything on Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, I
So
remember that.
it used to almost take me 2 days to do the points. And
Yeah.
it got really tiring for me. But I made the playoffs and I made a run. Me, Robbie, Steven, and Taylor Peacock was in the Final Four.
So
And
Robbie, yeah, he did
Steven,
make the Final Four.
the only thing that disappointed me, which I can't say was a disappointment, but I loved that season. I won the championship, but I can't believe I gave up that race to Steven at Nashville Super Speedway. That was the worst race of my life. But hey, I'll tell you like this: me and Steven, we will hit each other, we will bump, but we don't wreck each other. And that was the best thing about that season is me and Steven traded some paint, but at the
Those
end, I got on top.
The playoffs was a very good watch. The last 4 races of our playoffs on Redcraft TV. If anybody's watching that has not seen those races, you need to go back and watch. Those were fun. Adam
Uh,
Gilbert got his first win in the
yeah,
playoffs.
that was a fun point in time. I think that was probably my hottest streak I've ever been on in NASRA.
Is that
That
where
was
Adam
fun.
stole a win from me from Kansas?
Yep. And
I
then I
drove
supposedly stole it in Nashville,
I
which
drove
nobody
right
has
around his
stolen.
old tail on the outside. He didn't see what was coming.
You split the middle, I believe, on new
Yeah,
tires.
I think there was somebody that almost wrecked because I was on like 10 lap pressure tires.
Dustin Scruggs was in there. You know, I seen a name in season 2 that I remember and was a really fun person to drive against was Clinton Castleberry. I don't know exactly what all happened there, but he was fun to race with. Dustin Scruggs was really fun to race around.
Well, that's
Who else
whenever
was there?
RTR kind of fell apart a little bit too.
So
Keith
Dustin
left.
Clinton was on that RTR as well, wasn't he? I
Yeah.
think.
But we already talked about that season finale from that season last week when we talked about Steven losing that championship. So we'll kind of move on from that and won't bug Steven too much about that.
Yeah.
So season 3 to season 4 sees still a 20 race season, and then you had an all-star race. So that was another kind of big season. That season was kind of interesting too at the beginning of it.
The beginning was
It had a
very
lot of controversy at the beginning with one guy named Daniel Baldler.
probably
Yeah.
because he was
Season.
winning.
Well, no. Season 4 was exciting because we introduced the Rookie of the Year. We introduced team points, so that was kind of expanded within the series to make it even better than what it was. Um, but there was not really controversy. There was just a not getting along. Hunter Parsons, Ted Wade, Keith Bradley, Daniel. They just seemed to always be on top of each other and wrecking each other. So one had to give, and Daniel left. We hope he comes back and races, but uh, yeah, it just Hunter kind of went towards port time, and uh,
Yeah,
it was a good season though. Nevertheless,
I
It
remember
was.
I remember the Hunter Parsons Daniel Baldler incident auto club, and that was a auto club, and something else happened right before that, the week before. I got to go back and look at what race that
It was
was.
Watkins Glen. They
Yeah,
got
it was.
into
He
it.
took him out and going
Uh,
into the big sweeping
That
turn.
that's
yep.
right. So then Hunter vows revenge and then takes him out. Takes Daniel Baldler out going into turn 1 at Auto Club in front of the entire field of all the worst places he could have done it. He does it right in front of the entire field when we're all on a restart. I
Yep.
yeah.
I was caught up in that one. I remember that. I think
And
there was
then
a lot of pissed off people then.
the following week, and I remember this race just because I beat Steven again. But we were at Auto Club, and Yeah, I beat Steven there. He took 2 tires again. He didn't learn his lesson from the previous season, but
Hmm.
uh, we were racing, and at the beginning of the race, Hunter dumped Daniel. But they were running. The problem with it was they were running third and fourth, and he dumped them going into one in front of the whole field, and wiped out a
I
lot
think
of people.
I think Hunter was
Yep.
on my Discord that night, if I'm not mistaken. For
Yeah.
Keith
some
says
reason.
that Daniel took Hunter out at Dover as well.
You know,
Yeah,
Yes.
Brady, I kind of raced you and Steven up at the end of that race for a little bit, and I blame Hunter for putting that damage on my truck for me not competing with y'all in the closing laps.
Yeah, and what kind
I
of
have to
started
go
it
back and
was
watch that one. Apparently, I was so upset that I blocked that one out of my memory.
I remember that one.
I'll have to go back and watch that.
That was an
yeah, and
awful
then
season for me in season 4.
Daniel dumped Keith Bradley at Atlanta. Atlanta was actually our first race of the season.
That's
This was
right.
before
Yeah.
we introduced speed weeks, and he
Yeah, I
dumped
mean,
them on
both
like
of
lap
them.
18. So it was
Hunter's a
just tough.
very aggressive driver, man, and Daniel was not giving him any space, so it just didn't work out for them two
Yeah.
Yeah,
every week. They were
Daniel
around
wins
each
that.
other.
Daniel wins that season opener. I actually finished second that race, and me and Steven actually had a real close finish for second in that race, and Steven finished third.
Damn, so if okay, that's crazy. That means I had a lot of top fives right there. Because I remember, if you say that about Atlanta, I remember racing Blake for the win at Watkins,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
apparently I finished second at Auto Club. So that sucks. A lot of close calls. That's why
Dover.
they
Keith Bradley
talk crap
says.
about.
Yeah. Keith Bradley says Daniel took out Hunter Parsons at Dover. That would have been the week before Auto Club.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
remember the Watkins that's right in front of me, and they just went off on each other, screaming and stuff. It was for about 3 or 4 weeks straight. They were in each other's throat on the channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And at
Jeez.
the end of the day, the common denominator had to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens. Okay, so yeah, season 4 was
Yeah.
fun. Chris Cinnamon came from out to talk about coming out of nowhere and getting you a championship. Chris Cinnamon went and got him an awesome
He
championship
did it.
at Miami with a great pit strategy, man. Keith, that was Keith's year. He went off in the playoffs. Nobody had anything for him. He was dominating every race. It wasn't just barely winning. He was
I think he
dominating
won like
Kansas and
4 or
Richmond. I
5
can't believe he
races in
beat
a
me.
row.
He won 3 races. Well, he won 4 of the 5 playoffs. 4 of the 6
He
playoffs.
he disconnected. His internet went out at Darlington,
Oh
and
my
he was 2 laps
gosh.
down and came back and
Came
won
back and
with
won. Oh
with
my
damage too.
goodness.
I remember that. Oh my
do
gosh,
remember
I
that.
remember that. I can't.
Yeah,
That's still got to
so
be.
That's why season 6 I said it's Keith Bradley's year probably. Hopefully not, but
And we don't want to make Keith's head any bigger than what it was, but that's the
man, he
greatest
just
comeback
did.
of
Still
NASRA
is.
of all time.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So
Justin with a win at Miami. Talking about Justin Lumpkin earlier.
yeah,
I think that was his first.
that was his first
win.
one. Yeah. Chris won that championship without winning the season finale. I don't know. Season 1 and season 2, I know everybody else has won their season finale and won the championship. I don't know about season 1 and season 2. If
Yeah,
one,
Higginbotham won.
yes,
the
Higginbotham
last race.
won. So yes, Chris Cinnamon is the only person that's won the championship and not won the season finale, and it was
That's
in season
crazy.
4.
That's awesome.
So season
Rode the
5.
high line. And what did he do? Pit late? I guess he pitted like 10, 15 laps later, and everybody else rode the high line for a while and just ran
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
He actually he was running the bottom. Keith was running the high line,
Oh, okay.
and Chris made the bottom line work awesome. And yeah, he had the fresh tires at the end, and he just smoked everybody that last run.
So season 5, you bring in, you keep a clash, you keep an all-star race, still a 20 race season, but now you bring in a qualifying event for the Daytona, first race of the season at Daytona, and then you bring in 2 dual races.
Yeah, so season 5, like I said, we always try to innovate, always try to make it more exciting. We want people to talk about our leagues and our series within the league. So I call it one league, that's NASRA, with series within it. So when I say Xfinity, I'm not talking about a league, I'm talking about a series. That's just me. So we wanted to create speed weeks, and I want to say season 3 we ran Texas. Season 4 we ran Atlanta, the first race of the season, and it kind of now those races were great. I remember Robbie won in Texas. Um, Daniel won Atlanta, but it just there was no spark to the season. I felt like so I wanted to create speed weeks like in real life, and so that's why we had the qualifier. But we go somewhere different for the Clash. We might not necessarily run at Daytona. We might go to iRacing Super Speedway or the Los Angeles Coliseum like we did this season. And I just want to keep that kind of going where the Clash is not the same Daytona race. But we do have the qualifier and the duels coming up this week. And I actually get excited for them. I don't know about the field. I know the guys get tired of running Daytona 3 weeks in a row, but I like it. I think it's a critical point to where it kind of kicks off the season, and we kind of see who practice or who laid up through the holidays for the season in that break time. So I love the Speed Weeks deal.
Yeah, I think Speed Weeks has been it kind of gives you kind of waiting for the season to come around, and it kind of can give somebody a break if they don't want to run the races, they don't have to, but uh, it's a good opportunity to get back into the swing of things.
Absolutely, and it's also a tool for us to recruit. We're recruiting and all that too.
For sure. Chris Cinnamon wins the Season 4 championship, opens up Season 5 with a win at Daytona. Then Joey Doucette grabs, I believe, his second win in NASRA on Friday nights. And Ted Wade, I mean, I remember this last season. Ted Wade was on a tear last season. And pretty much the main winners last season were Ted Wade and pretty much Keith Bradley.
Yeah, Ted. Yeah, up front pretty much dominated this season.
But during this time frame now, we're in Season 5, so what's the time frame here? We've gone, what, 2 years now?
Yeah, so we're approaching yeah, this would be 2.5 years. Yep, that's correct.
So during this time, you start an ARCA Racing League on Wednesday nights that runs and does pretty well. You started an Xfinity League. You've started up the Monday Night Truck Series League all during this time period. So now you've got all this growth, and now you got to manage all this growth. How do you go about doing that?
You gotta find people that's willing to help.
Because I know that's why there's no hair up on that bald head from you pulling all that hair out.
Yeah, it becomes a lot, but to be honest with you, as long as you can manage your time and be efficient, and you also need patience from drivers. There's a lot of times on Friday nights where it's Saturday and Sunday and it's the weekend, and the last thing I want to do is look at a computer or kind of do stuff within the league. So I've got some great people that are very patient with me on Friday nights that allow me to enjoy my weekend, and they really don't kind of get on me about, hey, where's my payout, or hey, can you update the points? I want to see how many stage points I had Friday night. So you got to have those guys that are patient with you, because I'll be honest, I did payouts today for the Friday night league, and here we are Tuesday, but no, everybody kind of trusts me, and I think that's another thing, the trust factor with me to driver or me to team leader, even the board or appeals panel or broadcast, whatever it is that I'm involved in, which is pretty much everything. But it just takes a lot to do it night to night, and I try my best. Like Monday night, we raced at New Hampshire, but Cody helps me out tremendously. He does all the like Excel sheets for me on Discord, takes that off of my hands. I did the points and I did the payouts, so Monday's done. Here we are Tuesday, we're caught up, so we're just excited to get Xfinity going on at Auto Club Thursday night.
So we have not even talked about the races that have happened over the last week, and we've had 3 of them. And so I guess we can talk about that real quick. Last night, Monday Night Truck Series ran at New Hampshire. Nathan Maurer won 2 in a row. I was watching the race. You were running second there for a while. I don't know where you finished last night, Brady.
Yeah, I finished second. Nate dominated just a recap, a summary for you. Nate dominated stage one. I got a great restart, and he claims he let me go, but I caught him sleeping on the restart that he was controlling. He could say whatever he wants, but I took over the lead. Stage two, I dominated, led every lap in stage two. We actually ended stage two on a caution. That was actually our only wreck the whole entire night out of 125 lap run, and with about 15 laps to go, Nate had passed me. The track had changed a lot. I couldn't keep up with it. It got real shade cover the track, and I really couldn't see my line that I wanted to run. And I burnt my right front up, and Nate just did a great job. We actually raced side by side for about 3 laps, and then finally I got stuck in third gear coming off the corner, so he took the lead and never looked back. So congratulations to Nate again for winning last night.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna get back in Monday nights, and then we're gonna stop all this other people winning. Yeah, but so we have Monday night, and then last week was a Thursday night. David Duke won. Kind of won back to back because I believe he won his dual race, and then he goes off and wins the season opener for Xfinity Series. Chase Caber finished second. I know me, Adam Ebert finished third, and then Steven was in that race.
Unfortunately, I could not make it in time. Jumped in the seat about 7 minutes till, and I just couldn't get signed in.
No, this was Thursday night. This is Thursday night when you just were staring off like a daydreaming and ran into the back of another car on pit road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking
Yeah.
about Friday.
You know, we were excited about
Wow.
that series getting kicked off, and I think we were a little too excited because we were wrecking on the grid before we even took lap one.
Yeah, that was
But no,
crazy.
nevertheless, it
It
was.
didn't affect my car though. Those Xfinity cars are strong apparently. Because if I would have done that in that truck Friday nights, that thing wouldn't have kept up at all. But I hit him really hard in the pits, and I thought for sure my night was over before it even started. But it kept up. It was later on I got taken out.
It was a great race, though. You know, we saw a lot of three wide action side by side most of the time. It wasn't until the final run where they had to make a green flag pit stop that never happened, but they ran a single file for a while. But yeah, it was a great race to watch. I helped Will broadcast it uh, with Bryce Cobbler from Ghost Network came on and helped us produce that race. So we appreciate Bryce doing that for us. And but yeah, great race and a lot of teamwork. I would a little advice to all the Friday night guys. Watch those Thursday night guys because when it comes to super speedway racing, those guys work together as teams, and it showed because David Duke wouldn't have won that race unless he had teammates.
That's right. Kerry Tribune won stage one in that race. Chase Caber won stage two in that race, and then like you said, David Duke used a lot of help from his teammate. I was right there at the end of that. I kind of screwed myself up at the end of that race, but I remember it pretty well. I was pushing Chase on the inside, and then David and who was it? Who was pushing him behind him? It was Rhett. Rhett was pushing David. So I saw those two, and I was like, man, if I can just get clear of those two, going through the turn and jump to the outside, I could probably try to have a chance of this thing. But I got loose and then backed off of it, and then I felt like me and Chase, I caused Chase to lose his run and let Duke get in front of him. I remember that pretty well, though.
Not much of a fan of the old super speedways myself.
Yeah,
I'm ready to get off of them and move on through the schedule.
Especially when it's like a bad time like this, when you're in multiple different racing series and and it's been like 2 straight nights of super speedway racing, and it's been super speedway racing in the truck series on Friday night. It's like, all right, we're ready to get done with super speedway racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, but you know, you got to treat it as each series doesn't have the same driver, and you want that driver to experience it. So you know, it just if you run multiple nights with us, you catch yourself running at Daytona one night and then Talladega the next night. You just never know.
Yeah, that's for sure. So moving on to Friday night, the Clash at LA Coliseum on Friday night. That was a rough show.
Yeah, but you know what? I enjoyed watching. I did race control just because it's the first night and want to make sure everything's kind of together with the league.
The
It's
heats
just
were fun to watch. That was really
yeah,
a good time. I would love to go back and do that again, but the feature was a little rough.
yeah. I would
Heats
like
were
to
really
do.
good.
I just think maybe I kind of messed up on making the field so big, 24 drivers. Maybe I should have kind of did
You
15 to
wouldn't think so,
18. But no, I mean, it had its good moments, and
for sure.
the heat races, like I said, were phenomenal. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
that
the
was fun.
first heat race, we come out the door, and I can't remember exactly who it was, but it was James Morris and somebody else,
Went
and
back and forth.
yeah, I want to say it was Joey Doucette maybe, and they just kept
Yep.
one wrecked the other, another one wrecked the other, and then finally a caution came out, and one of them came on the radio and said, "Hey, do you not like me, or do you have something against me?" So it was fun, but yeah, the heats were definitely phenomenal. Even the B main, the last chance qualifier was good. I want to say they had 8 or 9 drivers in that one. Uh, but yeah, the feature. I think we should practice before we go back.
Yeah.
Some names in those heat races that you don't usually see winning. Cody Knott. Cody Knott won heat race number 1 there.
Honestly, I had the game plan of I exactly it played out the way it was. It was James, Joey, and oh man, I can't remember who the other one was, but they basically just decided to play bumper cars. So as soon as I think the last one where Brady had no choice but to throw the caution is when they both wrecked on the front straightaway, blocking the entire track. So I just went right around them and then just took the lead and then kept it from there because it was only 3 laps until the end of the
Oh,
race, and Justin finished right behind me.
yeah. Chris Blanchard wins stage number 2. Johnny Lawrence wins stage number 3. Keith Bradley, we see him win all the time. He won stage number 4. Zach Hartwick got him a stage win. I'm sure that's going to boost his confidence out. And then the last chance qualifier was won by James Morris. So some guys winning those races right there that you don't usually see up front winning, other than Keith. And then of course Keith Bradley won the main feature of the clash. That race was kind of dominated by Upfront Motorsports, him and Chris Blanchard, who is new to that team this season. We talked about him last week on how much they were going to be able to grow and develop Chris in that with that team, and he already came out running really really strong in that clash. Kind of him and Keith dominated that thing, and then had a little mistake at the end.
Yeah, I talked to Chris about I don't know a couple hours ago, and we had that little conversation. He said, "Did you see that race?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I seen it. Like I seen you dominate for about 45 laps and then mess up." He's like, "Yeah." So he did. He won. He led 45
Yeah.
laps, didn't he?
He,
It might have been. It was at least 40,
Mhm.
but I
I feel
could
like he had a
tell.
lot of help doing that, but
Yeah,
it
I
was good teamwork.
from watching from race control, I was on the leader a lot, and I was watching from the blimp, so I can kind of see the whole track and the whole field. So I can kind of talk you guys through to get and stop if there was a crash in the middle of the corner because I heard it was it was hard to see. So I was trying to like come on the radio, tell the guys to stop and whatnot, but Chris looked like he just got on the throttle a little bit too much and just kind of spun it out coming off the corner.
yeah, I remember coming out and being like, Brady, it's hard to we can't see these trucks when they're back in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, and it was tough for me because a lot of times, like especially in the heat races, guys would spin out and just keep going. Like they would spin all the way around and then they'd get it end up straight and just keep going. So I was like, well, I'm not going to throw the caution. And I wanted it was tough for me as race control too because we would only run like 2 laps and a caution would come out. So I was kind of like hoping that if somebody did spin out, they can get it going so that we can continue to run green flags because it took us like 50 laps. It took us an hour and a half almost to run 50 laps, I believe.
Oh, it was pretty brutal.
I think it was longer
Mhm.
than that. If I'm not mistaken, it was
Yeah,
like the whole
No,
broadcast
the
itself was
session,
like 240.
yeah, but the session was only set for an hour and 30 minutes for
We
50
finished with
laps, and we
11
were
minutes to
getting,
spare.
yeah, so yeah, but hey, we did it. That's the main thing, like this season is our first season. We're doing it with Xfinity, and Triple M, and even on the Monday night series, even though it's season one for them and it's brand new, but we're going to a 22-week season as far as points racing, playoffs, championship. It's 25 if you include the clash duels and qualifier and all-star race. So it's 25 weeks, puts us 2 seasons in the year. It's a lot, but it's what it needs to be. It needs to be that exact number. I think it's the perfect amount of races in a season, to be honest with you. And it just makes you appreciate if you do win the championship in those because of how long they are.
Yep,
We got a lot
for
of good
sure.
things. Got a lot of good things coming up. Friday night season's gonna be starting in a couple weeks, kicking off. Xfinity just started, so we're just about fully underway with all of our current series right now.
Yeah, we're just waiting for Cup. Cup's going to run the real life series. So when we're just waiting for the Coliseum race February 5th, it's going to run the full 40-week season on Sunday night. So anytime the Cup race
Crazy.
is, you can catch a NASRA race at 9 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be green flag racing at that time. So
Pretty dang
Cody's
awesome.
going to, yeah, Cody's going to produce that series for NASRA 360 Racing Network. We're excited about it. I know it's going to be long and brutal, but
Mhm.
some guys wanted the real life deal, and that's what we're going to give them.
So same laps and all, huh?
Well, it's not going to be a 500-mile race or 400. It's going to be more like 200, 250, and we'll manipulate the fuel capacity to kind of make up
So is
for it.
that
Because go
how
ahead.
much more is that than what Friday is? I mean, we normally run miles, I guess, on Friday nights.
Yeah, it's 200 on Fridays. Cup, what we want to kind of do is it'll probably be more the 250 side, to be honest with you, just because we want to make it to where they usually have to pit in stage one and stage two, and then maybe 2 pit stops in the final run. So there's going to be more strategy involved with that league. So that's why we're going to do like 50% fuel or 60%. So you'll have to practice green flag pit stops if you run that series.
Sounds cool. How many are registered for that so far? Do you know?
Well, we were open setup, so we tried to do the whole open setup deal, and it made some traction at first, but we started recruiting for that series back in September. Uh, and it's just hard to keep guys involved whenever you're not running races or there's nothing to do. So it kind of like flanked out a little bit, and just people kind of went looking for something else to do. So we're about to change it to fixed setups, and we'll put it as a 3K I rating and below, and start doing some recruitment races, hopefully, and maybe even start this Sunday with a recruitment race.
Hmm. Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
so we'll try to wrap the show up. Cody, Steven, y'all got any more questions for Brady?
Man, I think I'm good. That was fun.
No, I'm good. Just kind of been chilling and enjoying the story time.
Great. So one more question to kind of send it off, Brady. What's the most excited thing about NASRA you got coming up?
Well, the most exciting thing is the unknown. Um, we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. We don't know what next season's going to bring. Right now we feel like we have 3 established series that's managing good numbers, and tomorrow we could have 4. Tomorrow we could have 7. Um, by I would say by the end of summer, I want NASRA 360 Racing Network broadcasting 7 nights a week, and I want NASRA to be hosting races 7 nights a week. So the unknown, that's the excitement. If you don't have a league, or you're interested in running a league, reach out to us at www.nasra-racing.com. Contact us on any social media platform, Facebook, or just find me on Facebook, Brady LaBeouf, and send me a message, and we'll fit you in somewhere where you want to be, or you see a vehicle that you want to race, and we'll try to get you in that series.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
So you can find all that on NASRA Racing on Facebook or Instagram. You can find the NASRA Racing, and there you hear it right there. We're going. NASRA's planning on ending 7 nights a week at the end of the year. So hopefully that all pans out. Brady, gotta say thanks for joining us, man. It's been really awesome talking to you here, and you taught me a lot about the history, and hopefully taught the viewers a lot about the history of NASRA. So that was really cool to hear all that
It was
stuff.
fun to go over all that stuff. It was a good
Yeah,
time.
man. Yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys, and thank y'all for taking this podcast and running with it. I know y'all going to do some great things, and I look forward to keeping up with it and watching you guys.
I appreciate it, Brady.
Awesome. So Cody, you got any sponsors we'd like to thank, or go ahead and send it off?
Yeah, so there's an overlay that's at the end that runs through the sponsors and thanks them for us.
Yeah, I know some of those are
Awesome.
Pulse Poppers, Blanchard's Towing and Repair, Sim Racer Hub, 213 Simware, Over the Top Design. So yeah, just a couple of our
Yep.
Millie's Catering and restaurant and catering. So thank our sponsors over here at NASRA 360 and NASRA. And thank you all for watching and listening tonight. Hopefully we'll have another good episode for y'all next week.
Peace
See you
out,
guys.
guys.